Hey guys, welcome back to Sports Spectrum. I'm Jason Romano. Really excited today. I'm down here at Radio Row, and normally our guests are in person. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing Keith Smith would have been down here in Tampa this week, hanging out with us. But because of COVID and the pandemic, we get to do these interviews via Zoom. And he is the #1 ranked fullback by PFF, Pro Football Focus, this season, this past 2020 season. And we had Keith back on in June of 2020, and here we are now, February of 2021, getting ready for Super Bowl 55, and Keith joins us here on the show. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back on here talking to my guy Jason. So
Yeah, buddy.
it's always a blessing to get to the opportunity to do things like this.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to have you. And even again, like I said, it's not in person. There's still a lot to talk about here. The first thing I think to talk about is this past season for you. I would have to imagine, just based upon being #1 ranked, by PFF, that it was probably your best season. Obviously, the team didn't play well, and you always want to win those games. You lost a lot of close games, so you were in a lot of those games. You got a new coach now, so a lot of things happening. But when you look back at 2020 and your season, Keith Smith, what comes to mind?
Um, Man, just the relationships. I'll say something that I kind of embraced this season. Obviously, just background on the team this year. We didn't have the season that we wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But just embracing the relationships through that and grinding with my brothers, man, just having the blessing to be a part of something bigger than myself and working towards some you make friendships and brotherhood relationships and that's kind of what I got to hold on to this year, outside of all the negatives that were there. But like you said, I did have a pretty solid season for myself. Definitely a lot of things that I wish I had back, could have done better. But just things that I get to continue to improve on. But um, just thoughts from the season. I couldn't have had as good of a season that I did without the help from Todd Gurley and Brian Hill and Ito Smith and even Quadri Allison. Q, just he doesn't have a big role on the team, but any role is an important role on a team. And when you're a part of something big, you understand that. And those guys kind of lifted me up every day, we held each other's spirits high through the adversity and everything. And I think that was it was very important to and contributed big time to my performance.
So you've been on some teams that have won a lot of games, and you've been on some teams that have struggled, right? And this was a 4-12 year, so the record is the record, right? Bill Parcells always says you are what your record says. But when you really dive deep and dig deep into each game this past season, I think the Falcons aren't that far off. I mean, you guys lost games by, I'm looking at the schedule as we talk here. You lost to Dallas by 1, Chicago by 4, Carolina by 7, Detroit by 1, New Orleans by 5, Los Angeles by 3, Tampa Bay, who's in the Super Bowl, by 4, and even Kansas City. In Kansas City, you only lost by 3. And so there's games there. Those are 8 games within 7 points or less. If those
Right.
just flip just a little bit, you guys might be a playoff team. That's what it's like in the NFL. My point being, you played on teams that won 12, 13 games as well, and those games might have been close games that you won versus losing. The margin
Right.
of error, it's really slim, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy because growing up, one of my favorite movies was Any Given Sunday, and I never really understood the title behind that
Mm.
movie until now that I'm at this level and um, of age to understand it. And it just goes to show, like literally, any given Sunday, a team can play. It's the NFL. We're all talented. You have to be talented to play at this level. So all teams have talent no matter what their record is, but I think that was one of the biggest frustrations this year was how much talent and how good we were capable of playing and were playing at times, to where we were giving up games and losing all these close games by less than one possession, like just like by one possession. It's just tough and heartbreaking when you do that. But like I said, that's why embracing the brotherhood and the relationships within the locker room was real important, because you can't we're all in it together, you know what I'm saying? And you can't go at it alone. And just leaning on my brothers and my faith and everything. I mean, I think that's just the biggest thing that pulled me through this season, and my family.
Yeah, I have to imagine when you lose one of those games, it's crushing, right? I'm thinking of the Dallas game. I'm a Cowboys fan. I think we talked about that the last time you were on. And so I was blown away by how Dallas won that game. And obviously this everything has to go your way to have a comeback like that. But you lose a couple of those games like that. I'm just wondering, from a professional football player perspective, how are you bouncing back? Does your faith keep you grounded, like you said, your family too? Because I have to imagine it sticks. It just sticks inside of you, because as a fan, it's 7 days until the next game and we're just like, come on, man. That's so hard to lose a game like that. I have to imagine what that's like as a player.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You start to question a lot of things, and but that's kind of where the adversity is where the character is built, you know what I'm saying? And you kind of learn about the different players on your team, the different coaches on your team and everything. And I think we were a real resilient team. We didn't, amidst all of that adversity, we weren't at each other's necks the whole
It's
time,
cool.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we held it together. So um just leaning on my faith, like we talked about on the last time I was on here. That's one thing that quarantine helped me do, was kind of get quiet with myself and lean into my faith and get more intimate with my relationship with God and Jesus Christ. And I think that just the efforts in doing that, um being present with my family and my friends and my brotherhood, my brothers that I work with every day, I think that just kind of, like you said, grounded me, you know what I'm saying, and gave me something to look forward to every day. Um, when you are losing those close games and you can't really put a finger on why. So definitely a big time piece of that whole puzzle.
And they say adversity makes you stronger. So let's talk about your faith a little bit. What's the lesson that God showed you and taught you this year? You know, you go through just the heartache of COVID, right? What we've seen and everybody and all the difficulties and people kind of managing that. So many terrible things that have happened for so many people this past year. And then for yourself, you go through a football season where you guys got to be in COVID protocol and you got to, mask up and quarantine it was just a different year. No fans in the stands, for most of the games. So what's the lesson that you look back now and think, okay, God, you showed me something here. What was it that he showed you?
Honestly, I think it was just how persistent his will is and his grace is, and um just through all the adversity and the uncertainty and the not knowing what to expect next. This whole season was completely different. Between our locker room was a dorm room that we weren't around our teammates.
Yeah.
Just even into the off season, like we didn't have that time together as a team. As of a man, as in my family and my friends, like I couldn't really see all my family and my friends other than those who were directly in my circle daily, you know what I'm saying? So like I think the biggest lesson there was just understanding that he's the post you get to lean on, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry and and just be frustrated trying to guess what's going to happen next, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't know, you know what I'm saying? But as long as you understand that he's got it laid out in front of you already, like he's
Yeah.
already got it planned out for you, then it just makes everything easier and much more manageable within yourself.
Keith Smith's joining us here on Sports Spectrum. Let's as we wind down, let's put our analyst hat on here, because I'm down here in Tampa and the Buccaneers are hosting a Super Bowl, which is just crazy when you think about it, that you get to play a
Right.
Super Bowl in your home stadium. but it's
Yeah.
Tampa as the underdog at home against the mighty Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you guys, I alluded to this earlier. The Falcons played both Tampa Bay twice down the stretch, and Kansas City was the team in between playing Tampa. So you had a
Right.
Kansas City Tampa Bay sandwich here. Obviously, at that point, you don't realize that they're going to face each other in the Super Bowl, but they were pretty hot down the stretch, both teams. And you
Yeah.
guys took it to them a little bit in both games. You could have easily won the first game against Tampa and probably the game against Kansas City as well. So
Right.
let's go back a little bit. What is it about Kansas City that makes them so tough in the game that you faced them in? Certainly, it was a 17-14 game. So it was keeping that offense intact on your defensive side. And the Falcons obviously did a great job. But let's put your analyst hat on here and let's break down a little bit of what you saw from Kansas City and your matchup against them.
Um, Obviously the Mahomes factor, you know what I'm saying? Like that's tough to beat any day, you know. And I actually just the other day I seen like a Sports Center stats on Mahomes,
Yeah.
and like they were like ridiculous. Like he's 88% on games he's trailing by 2 scores or something like that. Um, just like their high powered offense is tough to beat no matter how good or bad your defense is. You know what I'm saying? Like the what I don't remember the saying exactly, but they say a high powered offense can overshadow mediocre defense or whatever. But not to say that their defense is mediocre either, because they got playmakers on their defensive side. And I think that's kind of what cohesively gels that unit in Kansas City, is just the chemistry between their offense and their defense, and then they have a good special teams core unit as well. Um, but I honestly think that it's gonna be a tough matchup because you're taking that talent and that dynamic of the Kansas City Chiefs against the vested vet Tom Brady GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's used to this situation, been in it plenty of times, prevailed plenty of times. And so like it's gonna be interesting to see it, and especially how good Tampa Bay's defense is. I think that it's just gonna be a good matchup, a good game to see, you know. Um Predictions wise, I honestly lean more towards Kansas City.
Okay.
Just the way they're built, but I'm I'm I feel like it's more of a toss up than it's a sure thing. You know what I'm saying? That I would say, but I got good friends on both teams. I actually trained the whole quarantine, basically with only my boy Kenyon Barner. He plays for the Buccaneers. So seeing him, he actually played for us last year for the Falcons last year, and so seeing him get to be in the Super Bowl is pretty cool to see. So like I'm a little biased when you talk about friendship wise, but from an analytic perspective, I think Kansas City has a little more of an edge, but it's gonna be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. I agree with that too. Last one for me on game planning for Tampa's defense. That's been a big marker this week, I guess, when you're, in all of these interviews and you're talking about Kansas City's offensive line has some injuries behind it, but everybody else is there. Kelsey's there and Tyreek Hill's there and Mahomes and those guys are there. So you obviously expect some firepower,
Right.
but it's Tampa's defense, I think, that really not a lot of people are kind of bringing to the forefront. It's of course Brady and
Overlooking.
Mahomes, but that's the I think the key in this game. I'm wondering, when you guys played them twice in the last 3 weeks, game planning for that defense, what did you see?
I honestly think it's a matter of running the ball and protecting the ball in all aspects, pass game and run game, because those guys are so active. Like they make plays on the ball, they score on defense. Like that's just what they do. They have a lot of playmakers on their defense. But I think that, like with any other team, if you establish the run and kind of control the game from there, I think you have an edge, because it's much harder to get a turnover in the run game than get a turnover in the pass game. If you understand what I'm saying,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think that's going to be the key for them to for the Chiefs to be able to beat that type of defense.
All right, he is Keith Smith, the highest rated fullback in Pro Football Focus. He's leaning Kansas City, but I'm thinking he's not going to be too upset if Tampa Bay was to pull it out either, knowing that the people that you know on both teams. Listen, man, great to catch up with you. We'll have to do it again soon. All the best to you. Congrats on a great season individually, and heck, maybe you'll be playing in this game next year. You never know. Thanks for
No,
joining us.
we will.
I
Thank you. I
like it.
appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for having me.